Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the Milford Township Municipal Building and the monthly Planning Commission meeting. This time I call the meeting of January 4th, 2022 to order. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you haven't already done it, please sign the attendance sheet back there or the back round table there for the record. Next, I'd like to introduce the Planning Commission, members of the Planning Commission and our support staff. Starting on my far left is Scott Stewart. Next to him is Pete Cabea, Tony Sitter. On my right, starting at the far end, is Denise Bizarro, the recording secretary. Next to her is Dave Scully and Linda McCabe. And in the back on the right is Julie Maggio, the assistant zoning and development officer. Next to her is Matt Puzz, the zoning and development officer. And in the back over here is a young man with the green shirt on, is Matt Waldinger, the Director of Planning and Development, and next to him is Lydia Caparosa, the Township Council for tonight. And I am Gene Strohmeyer, the Chairman of the Planning Commission. Before we begin, I will call for a motion to accept the minutes of last month's meeting as written.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Milford Planning Commission is a recommending body that hears testimony, asks and answers questions, deliberates and passes our recommendations on to the Milford supervisors who make the final decisions on the issues brought before us. Subdivision and or land developments discussed tonight, if acted on by the Planning Commission, will be considered by the Township supervisors at their regular meeting to be held on Tuesday, January 25th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. in this room. The first item on the agenda tonight is for Gordon Evans. It's a subdivision plan to show the creation of parcel A, a 20,871 square foot lot from tax parcel 33-043-229.0-014.0 with a residual lot of 2 acres along the north line of Westridge Road across from Patio Drive in tract 310. Someone here to, sir, please come up here, give us your name and address.
Gordon Evans, 4390 Westridge Road, here in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Oops, that's the wrong one here. Here we go. All right, so you're taking your existing lot and breaking up a little bit, huh?
That's my intention.
It's your intention.
Separating the business property from the residential.
All right. Okay, a couple of things, and this is for your, for the Laird Associates, mostly. We need these drawings need to show the square footage of all the existing buildings, how big they are, and you are missing the engineer's signature block on the drawings also.
The engineer.
Pardon me?
I'm sorry,
Township engineers.
I took it to the county, okay.
Yeah. Okay? And then you will have to get a modification for the flag lot, which is the residual 2-acre lot here.
Okay.
Okay?
Who do I speak to about the details of this? I'm kind of working my way through this myself.
I understand. Okay.
New
All right.
territory.
The first 2 items would be in Mr. Laird's or the Laird Associates ballpark. The stuff that has to go on the drawings.
Okay.
All right, so they need to get that on the drawings.
Okay.
All right? and then the township, would be the ones who grant the modification for their flag lot.
Thank you.
Are you aware that there's no sewer back there?
Yes, I
Okay.
had the septic inspected by the health department, and I brought it before the township and the supervisors, and was approved.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, what, any other questions for him or anything?
Nope.
Comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything to say about this? Okay, thank you. Okay, the second item on the agenda then is the Alberstadt subdivision. It's a subdivision plan to show the replot of 4 lots to create 2 lots. A 2.135 acre lot and a 0.953 acre lot along the along the north line of Clifton Drive, west of Forest Drive and tract number 2. Someone here to represent that, sir. Good.
I'm John Alderstad, 200 Clifton Drive. This is my replot for, it originally was 1 lot that my dad had subdivided into 3. I'm just taking it back into 3. I'm not changing anything with the pathway to beach. It's just taking the house at 3420, dividing the lot in between that and 200 Clifton so that nothing can be built in there anymore. And then I took the lot west of my house at 200 Clifton and just incorporated it back into mine because I wasn't planning on selling it and didn't want anything built on that either, so.
Okay,
And Hydra gave you guys an updated drawing. I guess.
I'm sorry, what?
Ralph Hydra gave you guys an updated drawing yesterday.
Yes, we do have that. All right. Any questions, comments for me?
I think it's all in order.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes.
Just wanted to make a point of clarification, Mr. Alberstadt. The subdivision that we have in front of us shows a parcel that was divided into 4 lots. And then you're putting it back into 2 lots. Okay, all right. Yeah, I think you mentioned, I know there were other pieces, yes, but this in front of us is actually going from 4 to
Four lots into 2.
2. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay,
That's it?
thank you. Anyone else have anything to say about this?
For now.
Good evening, my name's Matt Wolford, I'm here on behalf of the Gerbracks. I submitted a letter to you folks today through Lydia, thank you for doing that. She said that you all received a copy, or you would receive it. Have you received that?
Got it.
So what I tried to do is just sort of explain the nature of the problem, and I think one of the best ways to do it is by highlighting the easement at issue. So if you look at, I actually just took a highlighter and went through it. The issue that the Gerbracks are concerned about is that the property boundaries are supposed to be based on the original 1921 subdivision map. And I actually went to the courthouse today because I hadn't seen it. It was pretty illegible in these areas. I mean, there was litigation related to this in 2006. When Judge Garhart looked at the map, he concluded that the pathway went in between lots, not straddled across lots. And it's not uncommon to see straddling, and it's also not uncommon sometimes to see it not do that. So for example, if you look at Clifton Drive as it's been proposed here, I think I own out to the middle of 6th Street in my house. But apparently they don't own it through the middle of Clifton Drive here. They also don't own past the edge of the 15-foot walkway here. So it strikes me sort of odd that that's how it was configured for those 2 areas, walkways, public ways, but somehow or other this pathway got treated differently. And the Gerbracks believe that it didn't get treated differently, that the 1921 map actually shows the property boundaries ending at the edge of pathway, not in the middle of the pathway. So that's the basic contention. So we have no objection to splitting it from 4 to 3, back to 2. Couldn't care less about that. What he's concerned about is where that property boundary ends in the pathway. And there's a reason for that. It's not just sort of an academic exercise. Under Pennsylvania law, property owners can do things with easements if they actually own the underlying property that's not inconsistent with the easement. So for example, if someone wants to put up a gate across an easement, that's okay to do as long as they give the person with the easement right a key. So they can, create mischief. And I'm trying to avoid mischief. I would like, this was already litigated once. If we just pull that property boundary back to the edge of the pathway, everybody's happy. But this is going to be contentious, I think, if that doesn't happen. The only thing I would add, and I'm going to invite Dr. Gerbrach to come up and explain this, he actually has a better copy of the map than I've seen that shows where the property boundaries end under the 1921 subdivision map. And so with that, I'm going to invite Dr. Gerbrach to have something to explain. Thank you. Does anybody have questions for me?
We'll wait till we're done here.
Yeah, I'll just see.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm John Gerbrach, 206 Forest Drive. We've been involved with this attempt to do an improvement to the pathway to the beach for 9-10 years now. Mrs. Gerbrach is passing out the original recorded documents for the subdivision. You can see the signatures down on the bottom and the date. I want to refer you to the top of the page where the pathway is. Now let's take a look at between the beach lots and Clifton. You see the rather large lot to the left? You see the rather large lot to the left? That's the Alberstadt
You
lot.
sit with us.
That was before any subdivision occurred. And our concern is that the subdivision, at the first time, they started messing up the way the thing was laid out. I want you to also look on the other side, which would be the east side of the path. And I want you to look at, trying to figure out what was the intent of the surveyor and the people that recorded this. Look at the lot line that goes between lot 107, if you can find it, and 108. You'll notice that that lot line stops at the outside of the pathway. It does not go to the center of the pathway. Let's also look at the lot line between, were you able to find that?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you able to find, okay, the next one to look at is the lot line between 106 and 107, the next one up. Notice that the lot line stops at the outer edge of the pathway, okay? So one would think that if you were going to do the survey for the first time, that if you were going to divide the Alberstadt lot into 4 sections, what they would be doing would actually be in making those lines go up to the side of the pathway, like is already set in a precedent here. But you'll note, if you want, look at your history of what happened, if you go back to the very first time when they recorded the 4 lot lines, or the 4 lots, you'll find that they attempted to put it to the center of the pathway and claim part of the pathway. Okay, I'd like to make further note of another document, which is the surveyor's original document for Forest Park subdivision. Mrs. Gerbrach will pass that out too. Again, this is an original blueprint. This was actually a copy of a blueprint that was in my parents' cottage on Lot 38. From the year I was born, they built that cottage in 1940. But I observed the blueprint, and we talked about this one from the very beginning. Again, look at the Alberstadt lot on the left here between Clifton Drive and the right-of-way which is used for utilities behind the cottage lots. Again, you see solid line going across the top. Notice that it turns down here. Now, that solid line does not continue at the top here into the center line at all, as their drawing does. It turns on the side of the pathway, and then it stays on the side of the pathway, and it's solid all the way down to Clifton, and you find solid lines. Also, look again at the lots on the other side, on the eastern side of the pathway. You find solid lines starting from Forest Drive, going all the way back between lots 107 and 108, stopping at the pathway, not going to the center line of the pathway. Also between 107 and 108, and also between 108 is the lot we live on, 206 Forest Drive is 108. And you'll notice also the lot line that goes through there, you know, from the original surveyor's drawing, stops at the pathway. Okay, I first wanted to make that point from two of the original documents that date back to the founding of the community of Forest Park and the Forest Park beach lots along the lake. One would question why a surveyor would even, when he creates rights-of-way for the roads, notice the road right-of-ways are just identically the same as the pathway right-of-way. Why would a surveyor want to actually extend any lots into the roadway or into the pathway to create an implied ownership of a part of a pathway or a part of a roadway? Why would that ever happen? Doesn't seem to me it would make much sense. The last thing I was going to do is show you, and I don't have enough copies of this one, but provide one to you. We heard about this incidentally on Thursday last week. We were trying to prepare the final, give it to you, sir, maybe you can, This is a survey that I had done recently because we were building the cottage on the lake, and we were engaged in the 9-year process of getting the permit from the Department of Environmental Protection and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, a 9-year, $90,000 project just for the getting the permit, let alone fighting all the legal aspects.
Would that be
were
lot
required.
36?
Pardon me?
Would that be lot 36 on the lake then?
Lot 36? No.
No?
My cottage is already located and built on lot 26, 27, and 28, the cottage.
Okay, I got you.
My lot at the top of the hill on Forest Drive is lot number 106. And I just wanted to show a recent survey of what another surveyor would do. This was Henry T. Welka Associates, and he shows very clearly on this survey, and I did provide this to Heidler. Ralph Heidler has a copy of all of these documents, and I emailed him last Thursday or Friday. It clearly shows, the survey that was done recently, that the end of my lot is on the outside of the pathway. It also shows that they found a marker. There's a monument identified as 1+9896.21, and that is on the side of the pathway. Obviously, I would have been in the middle of the pathway if my lot went to the middle of the pathway. Also on the other side of my lot to the south, it ends, and the point is they made arrows to show the corners of the lot and where it exists. So everything we have and everything that we have done over these many years has indicated that it is a right-of-way, it is not an easement on a whole bunch of people's property. The fact that anybody considered that creates all sorts of judgments, difficulties in trying to do anything. Because imagine that you have to get all of those folks to agree to you. And I've had a lot of people dictate to me exactly how we're going to do this as the president of Forest Park Beach Owners Association. And it's very, very difficult.
You are saying that it is a right-of-way, not an easement,
It is a
correct?
right-of-way.
And that's what the, that's what
we
Mill
believe it
Creek
is.
agrees with,
We believe from the original documents, it's a right-of-way.
correct?
In spite of the fact that many people have tried to change it, and I've brought to you the original documents. So people cannot manipulate the pathway. I've got them to change it back. You had a case before you several years ago where Mr. Brown, representing Mr. Alberstadt, and Mr. Miller were actually attempting to do something similar. And they were moving, again, trying to place the right-of-way in Mr. Miller's property. They're actually trying to do that. And you, at that point in time, challenged them and told them to change the outside of the pathway, which they were trying to do with dashed lines, back to solid lines. And so after you told them that they had to do solid lines, they withdrew that, and it was, they no longer considered. And so it was obvious that what they were attempting to do is very similar to what's happening right now. But you really have to go back to the original documents in order to figure out what needs to be done. If I'm trying to think if there's any other points that I need to make. Oh, I can make one more point. In the process of getting our permit from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection and the U.S. Army Corps Engineers, a joint permit to improve the pathway, we had to, because of this conflict with neighbors, we had to take this to Judge Garhart. When we took it to Judge Carhart in the local courthouse here, he came to the conclusion, and he wrote it there, in spite of all the evidence that was provided otherwise, he first said it makes no difference as far as getting the permit, whether it's called an easement or whether it is called a right-of-way, and it is owned by the public community as we think it is. He said so the permit would be issued anyway, and the permit eventually was issued. But he said in his record, and I think Mr. Wolford has provided you a copy of the original court decision, he said that the pathway lies between the adjacent properties along that section of the pathway. He said it passes through a pathway on the beach, through a lot on the beach, but he said it lies between the adjacent properties all the way down to the beach. That was also reaffirmed and stated in the Superior Court decision, because we appealed that again to make sure that we were solid on it before we proceeded with the cost and considerable expense to develop the pathway for the community. I believe those are the points that I need to make. Mr. Wolford may want to wrap up with some additional information.
Any questions for Dr. Irvin?
Well, first of all, looking back at the original, and this is as far as I'm gonna go with this whole thing, looking back at the original document that we were given here, I see right down the center of that pathway, every change of direction, every property line has a marker in the center of the pathway. Even though the property line appears to stop at the edge of it, and it's probably for clarity's sake, but every one of these has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and one down here, 7 dots showing property line markers.
Yeah, I think that's to
Okay,
show
that
the
is the
center of
property
the
line.
pathway, so that you know where to measure the 5 feet on both sides from. That's my understanding.
That is I would say that that's probably the original, this is the original survey of the land there, and those are the monuments for the property lines, not necessarily the path.
Okay,
Those are for the property lines, which, that having been said, is what we are here to discuss tonight, is the subdivision of an existing property,
right.
regardless of where the path is. That is not up to us to decide and have any discussion or try to resolve any problem with that path. We are here to discuss from this point here to that point there, and there, and these two properties being combined, or these four properties being combined into two, this being the line, the eastern property line of the property owned by Mr. Alberstadt. Where the path is not what we're here to discuss tonight. The existing path, or existing property line along the eastern border of his land has not been changed. He's taking the four things and going, and cutting it, not in half, but cutting it down.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yes, so,
Okay.
the problem is he sort of brought this fight to you by putting his property boundary in the middle of the path. Nobody has any.
That is done by survey. Sir, there's an iron pipe right there in the middle of the path.
I understand what you're saying. These things tend to get messy. The only way to figure out where that property boundary actually is to have a judge decide it. You gotta
So
get
be it.
surveyors, you get differences of opinion, you gotta pull out the 1921 map, you're gonna do all that stuff. It gets really messy, it gets really expensive, and that's the only way to figure this out.
Okay.
You
and
guys
that's
don't
where
really
this-
care about that, and I wouldn't either. So the way to avoid that problem is to put a subdivision planning property line on the edge of the path.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. We have to go by the monuments shown on the drawing, done by whoever did the survey for him.
Ralph Heidler.
Heidler.
Okay, and where the path is of absolutely no concern of ours tonight. We're just trying to make sure that if he came to us, before us to take four properties and to combine them into two, right?
Right. Well, I would like to know from
And
Mr.
if that needs to go to a judge or to go to court, have at it.
Right, well, that's the problem, and I would like to know from Mr. Heidler if he did a title search going back to 1921 to figure out where to put that line. Because it probably says somewhere that it goes down the center of the pathway, so you can't divorce the two. That's the problem. You put it in the center of the
Come here-
pathway, you
come here
can't
for half-
divorce the two.
Just walk over here, please.
Sure.
Just for half a second here.
Attorney Wolford and Mr. Strohmeyer.
This is showing the points right there as markers, where all the property lines end, where the turns are made on the path. All right? And that is exactly what we're seeing right here,
Every property line in the middle of the path.
because it gives dimensions here.
No, I understand that, but how do you know that these points are the same as those points?
That will stop right there. That's it. We're not gonna discuss that. We are going by what we have in front of us. If you want to contest the thing, then take it back to county court.
Well, if that becomes necessary, we just thought, A, we would like you to disapprove it based on that line going down there, but if you don't wanna do that, the easy way to deal with it.
It's not that we don't wanna do it. It's not that, it is not in our authority to do anything about it other than subdivide this land, change the subdivision of this, however many acres it is. That is what we are here for, whether the path is there or not.
Well, Judge Garhart decided to kick this can down the road. I think you could also kick the can down the road by just having him revise it and show it along the edge of the pathway. But if you don't want to do that, then don't do that. Do you have any additional, I don't want to argue with you. Do you have any additional?
Attorney Wolford,
Yeah,
if I may,
yeah.
and Mr. Strohmeyer, I haven't run title the whole way back on the Alberstadt property or on both of them, but I do have before me the 1935 deed from the Etta Schrute, who was the widow of the Schrute, of F.H. Schrute, to the Haggertys for this parcels of property, and it does describe it as down the center of the line of the path.
Property boundary.
Yes,
Okay.
for the Alberstadt property. I don't know about on the other side of that, subject to the rights and restrictions of that pathway for the benefit of everybody, that are in an earlier deed that when I go to the Recorder of Deeds website does not pop up.
Right,
But
you're getting close, right?
yes, so, but it does describe it as down the center of the line, at least in the 1935 deed, which is out, the first time it's being transferred out to somebody other than the subdividers.
Which again is what you're after, right?
Well, I think you have to go past 1921 in this situation, because that's when the subdivision was recorded.
Okay.
So you have to see what.
As of the 21, though, it's what you're looking for, is having that to the center of the,
Yeah, was it established as taking 5 feet from both of the adjacent
Right.
property owners or not? Or was something else done? Or was there a dedication?
oh,
It just said we're dedicating it to, which could have happened.
Yeah.
We just don't know. And so it's
Yeah.
become contentious because they keep drawing the line down the middle. And of course, it wouldn't be contentious if they would have just allowed the Gerbrecks to proceed with the Forest Park subdivision, put the pathway in. But they didn't want them to do that. And they kept them from getting electric down the hill. And so
yeah.
they really don't want any development down there. And I get that. I appreciate that. But it seems like they're encroaching on that pathway a little bit more than what the 1921 map says they should.
Just to keep.
If it's truly been surveyed, you start at a known monument and you do all your things and you come up with where, and then you can locate the iron pipe here.
Right.
All right? If that iron pipe happens to be right here on the edge of Clifton Drive, happens to be right down in the center of that path, then that's where it belongs.
I have seen 2 surveyors go out to the same property and reach different conclusions about things.
Then
Okay.
that is to be resolved
I'm just-
either with maybe in the association records.
Right, it's like hiring an appraiser.
Yeah.
You make sure that all the questionable areas drop in your favor. And what we're pointing out to you is that the original 1921 map doesn't show it that way.
Okay, but that is not within our jurisdiction or our authority here.
Again, for planning purposes, all they need to do is put that property boundary on the edge and just say, this
That's-
is what we're
That's
subdividing.
the 10-foot wide path don't even need to be shown in this drawing for subdivision purposes.
That's fine with me too.
Technically.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if I may,
you may.
just to clarify, and, I obviously can't speak for the Board of Supervisors, but, in my position with the township, we are not taking any issue with what has been previously litigated with who has the access to the path. In our opinion, what's happening here is taking 4 lots and making them to 2. And we understand that you have concerns about where that property line is shown. But you need to know that the drawing that was submitted to us by a professionally licensed surveyor. It's his product. It's stamped by him because we wish, or you wish, or anybody wishes that the property line to be shown in a different spot. We can't compel him to do so. This is his work that he's put his stamp and signature on. So if he's confident in what he's done, we can't just say, well, we'd prefer if you show it 5 feet over for any purpose. He's given us what he's given us.
We can't do it.
I understand that, but I actually believe that you do have the ability to conditionally approve it on getting it right. And we don't know that he got it right. And that's what Dr. Gerbeck said you did the last time that they were here, is the same issue came up on the subdivision of the triangular piece of the Miller property. And you instructed whoever, I wasn't here, and I haven't seen the record of it, but you instructed him to go back and redraw it so that you could approve it. And that wasn't done. The proposal was withdrawn. So, for planning purpose, we're not here to argue where that property boundary is. If I would prefer to kick the can down the road, let them get their approval, but not to show it in this fashion. Because it's unnecessary, just as you just said, it's unnecessary to show it in this fashion.
But
Just
what,
picking a
and
scab.
all I can say is, when this was submitted to us, we did look back in the records. We have seen, the previous subdivision that was submitted and then
I saw that. as
appealed and withdrawn. There is a previous subdivision prior to this, the one that created the 4 lots, that was recorded in December of 1991.
I saw that
And
today.
it shows the boundary and in the exact same position as the drawing that is in front of us today.
Yeah, we believe that was the first time that showed up that way, 1991.
Understand, but that is already recorded.
The applicant's father did that.
That it is recorded at the Recorder of Deeds. It's a recorded map. So in essence, they are not proposing any change to the exterior boundaries.
Based
The
on
only
1991.
change is that they're taking the 4 lots to 2.
Right.
And again, this is the product of a licensed surveyor, and we can't just order him to change it if he doesn't believe that the evidence shows that. The only way to dispute that would be to have another licensed surveyor show evidence in the contrary.
Right. I get that. And no one's asking you to order the surveyor to do anything. We're just saying you can conditionally approve it based on, you know, showing it a different way, that's all.
You just said something, in 1991 was the first time it was shown down the center of the path?
This particular pathway, that's as far as I know. As far as I've seen on a survey. Well, we just looked at that.
It's right down the center of the path.
Well, something is down the center of the path. We just talked about this. That's the center line of the pathway so that you know where 5 feet is from both sides. But I don't think that the original,
There's all the monuments.
this is a.
The line is, the property line is running down the center of the path. Okay.
Can I, Matt, what's the difference between an easement and an open right-of-way?
Like a public right-of-way, grants access to
Access.
everybody. An easement would be for certain,
Utilities?
well, it could be a utility easement, you could allow, easement for somebody to walk along, say in this case, down a path.
Yeah.
You can
This-
grant that to the neighbors.
This is an open right-of-way.
I think the point is, the township isn't going to make any decision, and we're not trying to say one
What
way
it
or the
is.
other to land on this. That's
Okay.
already gone through the courts, and there's already a decision on that. We're not negating that, or we're
Alright.
not arguing it.
We're going down the wrong road.
What we're saying is this is beyond the scope of what we're
Okay.
here to do. We're just talking about changing the interior lot lines on this parcel. The exterior and the boundaries are for some other jurisdiction to settle at some other time.
So that is the main thing. We're doing the interior boundaries, not the exterior, so this isn't.
I would like to make a statement if I may, because my name was mentioned that a lawsuit was brought against Mr. Brown.
Yeah,
Mr. Brown, what you want them.
The podium.
State your name and- My name is Paul Brown. I live at 200 Forest Drive, Mill Creek Township, Erie, Pennsylvania. The only thing I want to mention here is that in none of these drawings that were given to you that are said to be the plat of the subdivision, none of those are the recorded plat of the subdivision. If you will look at the recorded plat of the subdivision, it will have the book number, I believe it's book number 2, and the page number, which is either 101 and 102 or 105 and 106. That is the drawing that will, which is a matter of public record, and that is the document that controls everything. But I believe if you will look carefully on the plats that have been given to you, and if you compare that to the plat map that is recorded in the office of the recorder of deeds, you will find that they are not the same document. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I believe that this is the recorded, map.
pages 4 and 5?
Yeah.
The one that has the signature on it.
But this is not,
It had, the title is trimmed off.
I know, but this is back before they reproduced things with machines and they would draw. And when they redrew, I've seen 3 or 4 different drawings, but the one that rules is the one which is in the recorder's office. It will give you the page number and the book number. And I will guarantee you, no, but this is not a copy from it. This is a recital. This is a recital of it. Compare this drawing with the recorded drawing in the basement of the courthouse. And you will see dozens and dozens of variations and changes.
But regardless of that.
We've been through this many times, and this is not the first time that he has brought documents that are not the official documents.
That's something surveyors should be doing. Surveyors
The surveyor did.
researching it back.
Yes,
The surveyor did, but this did not, and his surveyor did not, in the ones that he submitted. In earlier surveys of this property, they matched up with the recorded plat. Later on, to get us away, the same surveyor
What's the problem with this?
made changes.
Okay, any other,
Judge Garhart presumably looked at the original one. It's map 2, pages 405 and 406, and he concluded that the pathway ran between the lots. He said it like 3 or 4 times in his opinion. I haven't seen the, he concluded that the pathway runs between lots. Now, I haven't looked at the original. I'm not even sure the original still exists. I have looked at copies of it. The only other thing I would point out is Mr. Brown also stands to gain from the interpretation that it goes to the center, because he's one of those property owners. And he opposed the pathway, he opposed utilities being run down the hill, he opposed everything, he opposed the permit in front of the DEP. So, and now he's here to oppose Mr. Gerbach, or Dr. Gerbach's position on this. So, this is part of, he was in the litigation, so it's Gerbach versus Brown.
well, it sounds to me like there's a few more litigation, quite honestly.
It may be heading that way, and we were hoping to
Because-
avoid that by having just a little tweak on 5 feet.
Every property next to each other, there's a line here, I own this, you own that. That's exactly what we're seeing right here, right down the center, whether the path is there or not, that's what we're seeing here.
That's not true, though, what you just said. As a matter of Pennsylvania law, for example, I said, I think I own out to the middle of 6th Street. If I'm on a state highway and they condemn it in fee, they take it. So property boundaries don't abut each other. So parts of Pennsylvania have property boundaries abutting each other in the middle of a road, and other parts don't. And the same thing happens with easements.
Well,
These
I
things
see,
get
I
very
see nothing
complicated.
here designating this path, this 10-foot wide pathway as common ground or not owned by anybody or owned by the association. Half of it looks to be, according to this, half of it's owned by Mr. Alberstadt, and the other half is owned by the people who live on this, Millers and whoever else owns the land on the other side of the, other side of the path.
You've just done what Judge Garhart declined to do. You've concluded who owns the property, and he decided that he didn't want to make that decision. He kicked that can down the
I
road.
didn't say I
So we
concluded, I
didn't
said I
argue
see
that.
that.
Okay, well, he saw it differently. He looked at the original map and saw it differently. He said it runs between the lots. So,
Run for judge.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Any other questions for me? I'm sorry to argue
No,
with you.
that's fine.
I want to be
That's
clear
fine.
about it.
That's what
Any
we're
other
here for.
questions for me? Questions for Dr. Gerbach?
No, sir.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Matt.
I appreciate your time.
Okay, anyone else want to talk about this at all?
Are you sure?
Be cautious. Be careful if you say yes. Okay, that is the last item on the agenda for tonight.
No, we got one more.
I'm sorry,
We'll leave this for
I switched that, No. All right, we have one more here, I'm sorry, I apologize. The Dudley Medical Building, it's a land development plan to show the construction of a 22,920 square foot medical building with associated off-street parking and stormwater management facilities along the west line of Peach Street, north line of Dudley Street, and the east line of Richmond Street in tract 346. Sorry.
No problem. Good evening. Mike Sanford, 4721 Atlantic Avenue. I'm the surveyor and engineer who made the plan. So I'll try and make this real simple. It's a building and parking, so it's a land development plan. We do have 2 driveways to the property, one from Peach Street, which we have PennDOT's review, and one from Dudley. We have obviously off-street parking spaces. It meets your ordinance, how many we need to have. We do have the appropriate green space both in the parking lot and along the roadways. I did design a stormwater management system. It's underground, and those calculations went to GPI. We have our permitting out to the Conservation District for ENS and NPDES. The project will be served by public water off Dudley and public sewer off Dudley.
And we are going to construct sidewalks along Dudley and along Richmond for the length of the project. We do have some corrective work of a sidewalk along Peach to close the driveway. But we believe this plan meets the ordinance, no variances, no modifications. Here to answer any questions.
I think you did a good job.
Thank you. If anyone else has questions, I'll be here to answer them.
Does the property run to the middle of Richmond?
Oh, we have one person who would like to speak.
David Bryan, and I live along Richmond Street. 5216 Richmond. And my question is an easy one. Does this maintain the 30-foot, what do they call that? Boundary? When the property was, yeah, the buffer. Does that maintain the 30-foot buffer?
Yes, it does. 10 on one side, 20 on the other.
When this property was rezoned, the supervisors at that time decided to keep a 10-foot strip of residential along Richmond. And so there's a zoning line 10 feet from the right of way. We have an obligation to be 20 feet from that, so it's 10 plus 20, 30.
Okay. That's my only question.
You're making it easy.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. It looks good.
Nice. Okay, anyone else? Okay. The property lines run to the center of Dudley. All right. We are going to discuss these and decide to come up with a recommendation for the supervisor, to give to the supervisors at this point. We'll take no further testimony. You're welcome to stay. If you cannot stay or don't want to, you can call the engineering department after 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and find out what happened with all the things here tonight. First item on the agenda, are we ready to go?
Ready?
Are we ready to go?
Ready to go.
Ready to go. Okay, the first item on the agenda was the Gordon Evans subdivision plan to show the creation of parcel A at 871 square foot lot with a residual lot of 2.00 acres along the north line of Westridge Road across from Patio Drive and tract 310.
I would like to make a motion to approve as long as they give us a square footage on both sheds. Make a modification for the flag lot.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. The next item is the Alberstadt subdivision plan to show the replot of 4 lots to create 2 lots, a 2.135 acre lot and a 0.953 acre lot along the north line of Clifton Drive, west of Forest Drive in tract number 2.
I will make a motion to approve.
Second that?
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Thank you again. And the third item is the Dudley Medical Buildings, a land development plan to show the construction of a 22,920 square foot medical building with associated off-street parking and stormwater management facilities along the west line of Peach Street, north line of Dudley, and east line of Richmond Street in tract 346.
Second. Pete has second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you again. Where's the nominating committee? Did they show up tonight?
Excuse me, Chairman,
Mr. Zoning wants to know.
I'm sorry.
could we reverse the nomination in the annual report? Do the annual report first?
Sure.
Reason why is that I have it written with the current officers, and if the officers change, then they're gonna have to come back and resign. So,
Already?
yeah, so, if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
All right, so Did everyone have a chance to look at the annual report? Were there any revisions? Would you like me to read it into the record, or? Yeah. Okay, sounds good. All right, so at this time, if there's no issues with the annual report, if you'd like to make a. Like-
motion to accept the annual report as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, the next item, or last item on the agenda tonight then will be the nomination and election of officers for the year 2022.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
It's on the back of the page.
It's on the back, yeah. I just saw that.
I wouldn't really call them officers, but
Can I make a motion to keep them the same way they are? Is there a reason to change them?
Is everybody happy in their current position?
I am happy in my current one, and I think
You are the
Gene's happy.
secretary?
What?
nights like this could be a
Yeah,
scam.
we always keep them the same. We just want
That's
Gene
what we
in
did
the
last
middle.
year. Gene's always gotta be in the middle.
Gene's gotta be in the middle, so why
Gene, are you
change
good?
him?
He's good.
Are you good, Gene?
Yes.
You good?
Staying, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be fine.
and I'm good as long as
Dave,
Gene's
Dave,
in.
you good?
I'm good as long as Gene's.
Dave's good. He's good?
Yeah,
Is anybody, what other positions we have?
I guess that's it. Gene.
Okay, we're all good.
Okay, someone make a motion to accept the slate
Make a
of
motion that we're all
officers as
good.
presented.
Who's the nomination committee?
Used to be Scott, it's been Scott Stewart for, since he's been
He is
here.
the nominating committee.
I'll stay the same too. Yes,
To make the motion.
okay,
Second.
there you go.
There you go.
All in favor?
Aye,
Anyone opposed?
that was easy. That was my whole job for the year.
Okay, thank you.
You're on, buddy.
Purpose for living.
I really like.
Any other business at all to discuss?
I have nothing.
Or not,
We stand adjourned at 6:26 and a half.
because I'm gonna have to bring this to a
So anyways,